Hello everyone and welcome back to another session of Elden Ring PvP and another weapon showcase. Today we're taking a look at Marika's hammer. This is a weapon that you get from trading in the Elden Remembrance, and as far as boss weapons are concerned, I find this one to be a bit disappointing, to be honest. So let's go ahead and get started with the basics. This weapon requires 20 strength, 12 dexterity, and 19 faith to wield, and it weighs 6 units. The skill of the weapon is Goldbreaker, and you are stuck with it because this is a somber weapon. At plus 10, the weapon has a physical base damage of 247, a holy base damage of 159, a B scaling in strength, D in dexterity, and C in faith. Overall, this weapon is not great, and that can really be attributed to two things in particular, the moveset being one, and the fact that it's a hammer class weapon really just being the other. It has all of the hammer class cons, so with that, it's not a great moveset, it's not good at chasing people down, it's a bit slow, it is a bit short, so really that just summarizes hammer class weapons in a nutshell right there. There are a couple of exceptions to that are able to ignore the issue of reach, being the Morning Star and the Scepter of the All-Knowing, because they have thrusting attacks in their moveset. Unfortunately, they are the only hammers that do, so every other hammer, this one included, has to contend with all of those cons that I mentioned previously. That said, there's also another con with this weapon, being that its skill, Goldbreaker, is very easy to dodge, has a slow recovery, slow startup, and is very easy to punish. Unfortunately, with the skill, as soon as you jump in the air, you are vulnerable, and you give your opponent roughly 3 seconds to either get out of range or to finish their attack, recover from whatever animation they were in, and be able to dodge you reliably. So, unfortunately, that's just something you have to deal with. On the bright side, you'll also encounter people who use rivers and just spam even when you're out of range, and then just get bonked in the head by your hammer. Now, on the topic of the pros for this weapon, there are a few. The damage on this one is actually pretty decent. Compared to a lot of other hammers, they don't deal nearly as much damage as this one as easily, so that's a good thing. Aside from that, the running two-handed R1 rather, is a sweep, and the running two-handed R2 is an overhead slam. Those have their moments. They're both very good attacks. The overhead slam being good for when someone is running away in a linear fashion, the running R1 when someone is running away at an angle or rolling around towards your side when you're chasing them down. So there's a time and place for each. They're not super great at punishing people who are running, but it can work. So that's your best bet with those two attacks. Aside from that, with the skill, if you do manage to land the hit with your hammer as well as the explosion AoE, those do have separate hitboxes. You can hit your opponent with both at the same time. So you can really stack up the damage pretty well by doing that. So that's really something you do need to aim for, and to be perfectly honest, get lucky at landing. Because you hang in the air so long, it does make it very easy for your opponent to dodge, and for you to be able to punish the attack, or for you to be able to be punished by going for that attack. So use the skill sparingly, to be honest, but if you are going to use it and your opponent is, like I said, as an example, using rivers and they are out of range, then go ahead and give it a whirl, see if you can land it and bonk them in the head. Aside from that, with the skill, I found that it's actually quite a lot better if you unlock when you are using it. Unlock and manually aim towards your opponent, because if you go and do it locked, it doesn't really rotate you nearly as well as it does if you were to free aim it. So try free aiming, give it a shot, and see how that goes for you. Overall, not a super great weapon. reasonably fun to use, to be perfectly honest. I do enjoy using the hammers, but that's because they're a challenge. That's because there are things about them that make them not spectacular. And if you can beat someone with a hammer when they're using something like Rivers or a buff katana or any meta weapon ever, then that's a good thing. One other nice thing with the skill is that you actually cannot dodge it by jumping. You do have to roll through it. So if you are fighting against this weapon, don't jump, because it will hit you while you're in the air. So keep that in mind when you're using it and fighting it. If your opponent is jumping around a lot, if they like to jump as they dodge, then try and use Gold Breaker on them and see if you can punish that jump. It works out okay at best, but it's worth trying. Landing the skill is fun, it's satisfying, and that's what matters. So, yeah, that's about all I've got. There are 2 fights left after this one, actually, and I don't have any commentary left. So, let me know what you all think about this weapon. Let me know what you think would make it better. Let me know if there are other hammers that you would like to see me use because you like watching me suffer, or if there's other hammers you like to see used because they're decent. I doubt it, but you know, it's a possibility. Anyway, thank you all for stopping by. Stick around for the last fight here after this one. Help out with that engagement and watch time and all that YouTube stuff. Leave a comment for me, subscribe, do the things, and I will appreciate it. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, guys. I'll see you next time.